Let's talk about why most people's LinkedIn posts just suck. All they're doing is they're taking something that they inputted into ChatGPT and ChatGPT expanded on it. So there's no personality in it. There's no personal story. There's no personal struggle. There's no way for the reader to see themselves through the words of the writer. All you're doing is just prescribing a solution to something. And these posts suck. They get zero traction. The LinkedIn algorithm can detect very easily that they lack emotion. And trust me, the LinkedIn algo is actually scoring every post that you do and it's giving it grades. And if it's something that ChatGPT can just generate instantly, it's not going to get any kind of traction at all. It won't be distributed. And most people just think it's boring and they won't even comment on it. And if they don't comment on it, it's not going to get distributed to more people because LinkedIn is also looking for signals that your content is interesting. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to show you how to build a personal bank of stories that you can use throughout your content using Claude. And again, we talked about Claude in the past and we said how Claude just has a better understanding of human psychology and human behavior. So what we're going to do is we're going to build this out with Claude because it's going to ask us introspective questions about ourselves, about our past, and just things that we can get and put into our personal stories. This will help you get a lot more traction. So let's get into it. All right. So what I'm just going to do with Claude here is I'm going to turn on the voice agent and I'm going to ask it to interview me.
Hey, Pedro, how's it going?
Good. I want you to build a list of questions so that you get to know me really well from a personal level, professional level, just my background in general. Because I want you to build me a comprehensive library of knowledge about me so that I can inject my personality, my beliefs, my history, and some personal stories into my LinkedIn posts so that my posts resonate with my audience. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes total sense. You want me to dig deep so I can help you pull authentic material for your content, stories, beliefs, the real stuff that'll make people connect with you on LinkedIn, rather than just seeing another business post. I've got some baseline stuff already, but let me ask you a bunch of targeted questions to fill in the gaps and get the nuance. Should I go through these one at a time so you can answer properly? Or do you want me to dump the whole list at once and you can go through it on your own time?
I want you to give me one question at a time, and I want you to be super clear as to how concise or developed you want the answers to be.
Absolutely. That makes perfect sense. You want to build a proper knowledge base so your content feels authentically you rather than generic coaching speak. I'll ask one question at a time and be clear about whether I want a quick answer or something more detailed. Let's start here. What's one moment from your childhood or teenage years that fundamentally shaped how you see money or work today? I'd like you to go into detail on this one. Paint the picture. What happened? How it made you feel? And what belief it created in you?
So growing up as a very small child, my family had a business and we had some money. Now, when we moved to Canada, we became instantly poor. So we went from having things and having access to not having anything. Money became very scarce. My parents worked minimum wage jobs. My father, going from a businessman, delivered pizzas for $4 an hour. It wasn't a good thing. Money was very scarce. It caused a lot of conflict. It just made the world really feel like an impossible feat to overcome. It made me feel like I couldn't be like the other kids. And I saw that people that had access to money, had access to freedom, had access to travel, had access to everything else, and we didn't have that. So I felt that it was very important to get it. I just didn't know how I would do it.
Right, that's brilliant. Building a personality and story library for authentic content is exactly what's going to cut through on LinkedIn. I've got you. Let me start mapping this out properly. I'm going to ask you questions in clusters around different areas of your life, and I'll be crystal clear about what I'm after each. First question, and I want a fairly detailed answer here. Paint the picture for me. What was the specific moment or turning point where you shifted from feeling like success was impossible to believing it was actually achievable for you? Was it a person, an experience, something you read, or a gradual realization? Walk me through what changed your mindset.
So you get the point. This is the conversation that we're going to be having with the AI. And you can also ask it to fine tune different questions and say, hey, I want you to get into dark parts of my identity. I want you to get into things from my childhood, the way that my parents were to each other, the conflict that money caused between them. You can ask it about specific times in your career at work. So I tend to talk a lot about the suffering that I endured while working corporate jobs. Of course, you guys have to know that a lot of it is marketing, right? So I greatly exaggerate the treatment that I received in my corporate life because that's the persona that I've built on the internet. And that's how I attract or repel clients. So the type of client that I'm attracting attracting is somebody who wants to make additional money because they're not doing well in corporate. So of course, somebody who's doing well in corporate or had a wonderful time in their corporate career and believe that they're causing impact thinks I'm an asshole, right? But that's fine, because guess what? Those people wouldn't buy from me necessarily. And that's the point. And that's why we're injecting these personal stories, because we want to attract the right types of people, people that are like us, people that see themselves and see their lives through my stories. And we want to repel the people that we don't want to work with, either because they're A, not going to buy anything, B, don't have the money to buy anything, C, are not the type of person that we'd get along with anyway. Because yeah, like in my case, like if you love your corporate job, like chances are my product service is not a good fit for you, so I don't even want you in a sales call with me. This is about repelling people as well, right? And copywriting does it at scale, and that's why it's important. Having your personal stories this way will make a great impact in your success on LinkedIn. Now, I want to show you kind of like the finished product and what we're going to do with it next. All right, back onto this. I'm just going to show you how to upload the documents. I've created multiple story banks just for demonstration purposes, and I'm going to show you how I use them. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to upload my story bank and do that right here. Then I'm going to upload, I also created one for my wife, how we met, all of these things, how she was supportive of all of my ventures. I'm going to add that as well, because that's going to help create more context around not just me, but also my cast of characters, right? So I can have personal stories about my son. I can have personal stories about my daughter. I can have stuff about my father and my relationship with him, and personal story bank about my work history and kind of like shocking realizations that I had throughout the workforce. I can put personal story banks about anything I want. So this is just going to feed your content. And then you want to give it instructions. So you can give it an instruction here. It's like, hey, I want you to help me synthesize all of this so I can have solid LinkedIn posts with a lot of personality. So you would just put that in there and it would know how to work better with that information. That's it. That's all. This is how it works. You can just keep adding files to this and it's just going to get smarter and smarter. So I'll show you kind of like an example of what it looks like once it's finalized and what it can do for you in the next video.